Hello and welcome back to the Parents Awareness Program PAP. My name is Poor. This time I will talk about a very disturbing yet interesting topic. Grandmother fights at school. On the last time episode, I talked about schools and parents' roles. When school is done with the children for the day, it is the parents' responsibility to take over responsibly. In that podcast episode, I also mentioned that when the schools are dismissed in some societies, it's the most dreaded time of the day. There have been fights among students and other problems such as public mischief, where students have wreaked havoc in public areas. But then, it's easy to dismiss such appalling behavior because they are children. And I understand this to a certain extent when children aren't being trained right. I firmly believe that children are more often than not replicas of their parents and that they live by what they learn. You see, they came into this world and they learn everything through what they have been taught. When parents raise them or train them right on the inside, that is in the home, it will be obvious when they go out in the world. They will take what they have been taught in the home with them. Likewise, a lack of proper training on the inside the home results in a lack of proper behavior on the outside. When some children are out, it is obvious that they aren't being properly trained at home. Recently, I heard a news story that perfectly aligns with what I have been saying and with where I have consistently pinned the blame. That is on the parents. I've heard of many incidents where some parents, for some reason, obviously believe that it's a great idea or a good parenting model or style to get involved in conflicts with children who are in conflicts with their children. Instead of these parents being the parents, the example, the best role models for their children, leading in an exemplary manner and guiding them on the right path, they behave exactly like their children who are replicas of themselves. They teach their children war instead of peace, violence instead of civil conflict resolution. They show them the model on how to commit crime and violence by doing so with them. On Thursday, November 10th, 2022, a school named Thomas Edison School somewhere in Pennsylvania had to undergo lockdown protocol because parents and a grandmother, yes, you heard me correctly, a grandmother decided to go to the school and ended up in a fight. According to the news, it was a wild scene. Now, I must be so out of touch or outdated to think, why would a parent, much less a grandparent, think of going to a school to engage in a fight with a student, a child? And I believe that they went with the intentions to fight because they went prepared. They were armed with mace and a knife. They went equipped on ready mode and with absolutely no reverence for the institution of their children's future. According to the news, the grandmother was maced, after which she pulled out her knife, which resulted in a student being stabbed on school grounds. Frankly, I don't know how to start to denounce this type of mad behavior because there are so many things going through my head right now. But let me start by saying, with an incident like this, why should some children be expected to behave civilly? Children learn what they have been taught, and when they have been taught to behave out of order and carry on with crime and violence by their parents and grandparents who learned from their parents and grandparents way back from generation to generation, why should they be blamed? They learn and do exactly what they have been taught. Now, if they were taught otherwise, they would have learned, behaved, and done otherwise. Like I've mentioned in my last podcast, it's the government's responsibility to provide schools for our children. However, both parents and the government share the responsibility of protecting and taking care of these important institutions so that they can remain at the high standard for our children. The best way for parents to take care of these institutions is to teach their children to respect all employees, such as the teachers, and the rules and regulations of these institutions. I know of instances where some schools find it necessary to have to separate some students in order to prevent the improperly trained from becoming a distraction to the properly trained who actually want to learn. These children will disrupt classes and put the otherwise well-behaving students at a huge disadvantage. I've heard of public schools that have been closed down due to low enrollment and underperformance. This I can understand, as what parent who has good values and high hopes and dreams for their children's future would enroll their children in such a failing institution. The students are then transferred to other school districts, but these transfers are just transfers of the indiscipline, the crime and violence into these better disciplined school districts. All of these happenings or changes and measures are as a direct result of parents not teaching their children what parents ought to teach their children. They aren't being taught to respect the authorities and the rules and regulations in school. They are being sent off to their secondary place of learning, the school, without learning the valuable lessons from their first primary place of learning, their homes. So they go off to school, the place that holds the key to their future, but do not understand how important and valuable this place is. They do not know to respect it, value it, take care of it, and make their future out of it. They are thrown on the school staff who, despite their training, cannot handle them, and quite frankly, some are afraid for their own safety. I've seen videos of children assaulting, or I can easily say beating, teachers in schools, and they are allowed to get away with it because they are kids. I've been told by students of cases where teachers have come under attack just for simply speaking to them in a peaceful manner. Because you know what? They are not accountable to their parents, so why should they feel that they are accountable to others? They don't have to respect their parents, so why should they have to respect others? Amidst all the problems, it has been a total waste of time for the school's faculty to call in these types of parents to discuss the matters. In some cases, they don't show up, and for the ones who do show up, what do they have to tell their children? These children are demonstrating what they are already being taught in the homes. As a matter of fact, calling in some of these parents might only make a bad situation worse, because these types of parents will disrespect the teachers in front of the children. This has been done many times based on my knowledge. Realistically, some of these types of parents may also seek to physically assault the teachers for trying to discipline their children. It is very sad for these young minds who I am sure are born with great potential, great possibilities, and who have come into this world totally innocent and oblivious as to the path they should take. They are depending on their parents to guide them correctly, but are being taken down the wrong path by their own parents. The persons who should have their best interest at heart to show them the correct pathway always. It's always correct for every parent to teach their children peaceful or responsible conflict resolution in all circumstances. Teaching them peaceful conflict resolution is by no means teaching them to be fearful, weak, and to allow themselves to be run over and get hurt by others. Instead, it is teaching them how to prevent the escalation of crime and violence, thus preventing them any entanglement with the legal system. Children need to understand that they can be right and end up in the wrong if they react to conflicts the wrong way. Always remember that what they will get away with as children, they will not get away with as adults. And as parents, do we want to see our children, that is, our adult children, go through suffering because we didn't teach them how to make the right decisions in their lives? As parents, would we be comfortable knowing that we doomed our own children simply by failing to teach them what's right? Teaching them conflict resolution is also teaching them to be strong and noble people who will know how to choose the right ways always, and will know how to rise above and stay above challenges. Sure, parents need to teach their children how to fight, the good fight for a great future, instead of the fight to ruin their future. However, based on what had transpired at the school earlier mentioned involving parents and a grandparent, it is clear that some parents and grandparents are not in the mental state to direct their children and grandchildren on the right path. It is clear that they lack the wisdom. When these parents and grandparents went to this school and displayed crime and violence, they led by example that crime and violence are the correct choice. That is the way to go. They taught their children and grandchildren not to respect and obey the laws and authority. They taught them to destroy their community, their place of learning, and their future. Those parents and grandparents have undoubtedly set the stage and cleared the pathway to continue the cycle of lawlessness and violence for their next generation. Unless the parents who are teaching their children the wrong curriculum decide to start teaching them the right curriculum, I foresee the cycle of lawlessness and violence continuing in some societies. No amount of funding or laws, rules, or security measures will be able to compensate for what the parents aren't doing or for what they should be doing to prevent the catastrophic damage from the harmful examples that the parents are setting. There is limited power in what the state can do to make positive changes in the minds of our children. Most of the power lies with the parents, what values they instill in their children. True change can only come when parents teach their children the correct curriculum. That's it for this episode. I will be doing more topics on parenting. So please subscribe to this channel by clicking the red subscribe button below. Also, it would be nice to hear your thoughts on this topic. So please leave a comment. Your inputs are valuable. If the message spoke to you, please hit the like button. It would also be much appreciated if you share this valuable content with a friend or family member. Thank you for listening. Until next time, parents, make the correct changes.